and then I can share my screen. Yeah. Okay. Oh, there's Esther. Hey, Esther. How are you? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
How are you doing? Are you good?
I'm good. I'm trying to sort out, sorry, pressing lots of buttons. Hello.
Oh, you're smiling again. It's nice to see you smiling.
Hey, it's been tough, eh?
Yeah. For you and me both.
Yeah.
Anyway. Okay, I'm going to crack on because I've hit record. So, LinkedIn. For those of you, you both have, that have done the Global Intern program, it will be helpful to revert back to your personal brand print that we've done. And then those of you in Global Spark that haven't done the Global Intern program, then not to worry. I'm running in July the 5-day challenge, and that will be helpful for global interns too, just to go through step by step your career highlights, really, which you can then take from that and put it into LinkedIn. But we'll also talk about your strengths and your values and give you focus, so that then you know what to highlight on LinkedIn, because what's often the case is we lob everything in because we don't want to miss anything, but then it's not very easy for the person that hasn't ever met you before to really understand what your sparkle is and kind of try to unpick all of the different bits. So rather than like your old static CV, LinkedIn has to be an engaging, an up-to-date profile, which is what we were just saying, Miriam, that you weren't recognised from your photo. So we will come on to that. So LinkedIn used to be, when it first set up, was all about jobs. This photo makes me laugh so much. Look how many greys and blacks there are. It's like we just all merge into the same old, rather than showcasing our sparkle and being really clear about who we are and what we stand for. And so it wasn't until recently, when Microsoft took over LinkedIn, that they then moved it from a simple kind of job and recruitment platform to actually more of a social network. So it's now all about the content and engagement and kind of your news feed and posting articles and helping you to stay informed. And they've also got the whole learning side of it as well. So it's no longer just to get hired, but also to connect with people and to stay informed. So this session will be different depending on whether you want to get hired and whether you want to find clients, or whether you want to find and be kind of approached for future roles. Obviously, it's going to depend slightly. So I'll kind of give the different approaches as we go through. But I personally have used LinkedIn since moving abroad. I've kind of had a bit of a love-hate relationship with, I go onto it and then I move away from it and then I love it again. But I really think it's an amazing platform to be seen much more easily than Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and particularly Facebook. LinkedIn, they want you to have content. So if you start posting content, they're gonna profile you and put you in front of more people. So in terms of return on investment, LinkedIn is the golden star, or other than Pinterest, but it depends who your ideal target client is. And And so it's good to have in mind, and this is what we would do in the kind of 5-day personal branding exercise in July as well, to understand who your target person is. So is it the employer? Is it the client? Like, who are you talking to when we go through the whole profile? Because that will shape how you come across and your tone and what content you decide to showcase and what you decide to leave out. So LinkedIn brings together all of your spiderweb career. So as I said, it's a great place to show off your strengths and your values, and to really understand and to promote what you stand for and your mission, your purpose, whatever you want it to be. Don't get overwhelmed. The key is to get started. And at the end, I've broken kind of next steps into 3 different stages, depending on where you currently are. But ultimately, I guess in 2 years, you should have a pretty good idea of what you're doing against each of these things, and keep coming back to what you're practicing, what your strategy is, who you're talking to, why you're talking to them, and making sure that the whole time that the right strengths are highlighted, and it's really easy for people to see who you are and what you are all about. So very practically, we're going to run through all the different elements of your LinkedIn profile, and I can send you out these slides, and this is being recorded as well, so don't stress too much. But as I mentioned, your profile picture, I'm amazed at the amount of accounts without a profile picture. You're not going to get found, or you're not going to show up. I think it's something like 60 times more likely to be found if you've got a profile picture. And also, so there's 2 pictures in LinkedIn. There's like the top header, and then there's the profile picture. So make it professional. If you can't afford to get a professional photographer, then make sure, just get someone with an iPhone 7, which has that kind of portrait feature. So that just adds depth of field. So, you know, you don't get this, it would all be blurry, and you can actually see you. And make sure it's recent, Miriam. We were just talking about this. So it's got to be recent. You've got to be recognised.
Oh, more recent than 1 week ago. Is not
no, that's perfect. But don't, like, you know, I've got a lovely picture of me when I was working in London, when I was at Saracens, but I was like 25. So, you know, I have aged, and yeah, like, sadly I don't look half as good as I did then. Well, no, I do, more mature, much more wisdom. So make sure it's recent, and then make sure it's of you. So it's not you with your mum or you with your kids, and just have a photo that is of just you. Don't like crop it, because then you might have half an arm missing, or like it just doesn't really work. Again, a professional shot, like of your head and shoulders, and look smart. And I think I'm actually in like a t-shirt in mine, so it doesn't have to be a suited, booted, traditional smart, but just don't, it's not in a bikini, you know, like you've got to come across as trustworthy, because this whole thing is you are looking to connect with people and for people to trust you. So yeah, like, I put an interesting background, but again, that all comes back to your values and your sparkle and kind of the image that you are trying to portray. So if I was focusing on supporting expats moving to Joburg, I might have a photo of me in Mabaneng, or next to Nelson Mandela's statue or something. So it's really obvious to see. Or if, yeah, and then make sure that you are recognized across different platforms. Then the background picture is the top one, and this is where lots of people go wrong. Either they don't have one, or they've literally cropped it so it doesn't work. So if you're using Canva, or you're using PicMonkey, or just LinkedIn also kind of showcases its sizes, make sure that your picture is the right size for that LinkedIn background header, because otherwise it's not gonna look great. And then and just make it relevant to what your business is all about. So actually mine is still on the kind of moving as an expat relocation thing, so I need to change mine to make it more like portable careers and training and development. So I might put in maybe one of my future of work panelist photos, or one of those events. Yeah, and I have, how do I now, hang on. I just thought it would be helpful to show you, give me a sec, some examples. My computer sounds like it's about to take off. I think it's probably, I don't know why. But I hope it doesn't go. That would not be ideal. Okay, right, let's see if we can share again. Yeah. Okay, so here, Lisa Ferland is also an expat, and she is in Sweden. But you can see here, it's really clear. Her picture is really clear, and then her image it fits nicely. It just gives the right impression, and you can tell that she is supporting here, making people that were authors, making people that want to publish their own stuff. So that was one, and then another one, which is social media, is and also she's a bit more American, isn't she? You can just tell. So Jess, again, really, she's used text, but you don't have to use text. So mine isn't text. It was my old moving guide that I just put in. But if you're in training, like you can have whatever, really. Ollie's, this is a ex-rugby player that I used to work with. So he's also used text. So yeah, it's up to you. If you want to put text in, you can, or you can just have a simple image. Let's go back to Keynote. Okay, so it's pretty simple with the images, but you'll be amazed. It's the most powerful thing of the whole profile. So the next is your headline, which was the bit that came straight underneath your image. And also in the search function of LinkedIn, this is the thing that's going to come up. So it's the hardest thing, because you've got to summarize your sparkle in basically one sentence. So it needs to say what you do, what value you provide, like how you're different, your USP. And then if you already know that purpose, here's a great place to showcase it. But if you don't stress, just put in literally what you're doing and to who to start off with, until you've kind of been going for like 2 years, 3 years, and then you might have a bit of a better idea of your mission and your why. But that will really showcase what makes you different from the other 5,000 social media managers that are currently being searched for. So you could say something like social media marketing manager, helping small businesses stand out from their competitors on social media, something like that. So people will use different headlines depending on what they're currently using LinkedIn for. So if you're a freelancer looking for clients, or a job seeker looking for roles, or if you're currently happy in your current role, then you might use your headline to focus like on the value that you're giving rather than your current job or who you're working with, because you don't need to come up in job searches. Yeah. So then once you've done your headline, then the summary. The summary is the bit where you've got a bit more chunk and a bit more text. So here you can do your career highlights or headlines. And again, we will go through that in the 5-day challenge of like tracking your timeline and when you were happiest in your career, when you were rubbish, and kind of to figure out what your strengths really are. And to use evidence that backs it up. So instead of social media management, you would say launched a brand to increase their Twitter following by 80% across 6 months or something like that. So really back up what you did. And a great thing to do here is that whole why exercise, you know, where you ask why 4 times, or so what. So you're a social media marketing manager, so what did that do, and how did that help? And so you can really start to differentiate the difference that you can make. If you are branching it off into new directions, then put in why and what you hope to achieve, and use your personality. Be human, but don't be too professional and too like geeky. And it's completely okay if you're a parent to talk about the fact that you are a parent, and to list the things that you have done in your career break. But we will come on to a little bit about career breaks in a minute. But you need to optimize here as well, because they will be scrolling for keywords. So in the same way you had keywords in Google and on your website, here you also need keywords and hashtags in your posts to come up in people's news feeds and in their searches. So if you don't know what the kind of key phrases are, then do a bit of research by looking at other people within your field or within your industry, just in the search function, and look to see what keywords they are using and coming up with. For example, I would put like digital marketing is obviously a key kind of word that you need to include there under marketing rather than just marketing. But avoid jargon and buzzwords. It's not gonna be great. So yeah, just Google a couple of job descriptions and look at the key kind of phrases. So let me show you Ollie's. Let's go back to Ollie's, because he did a brilliant example of his summary. So you can see, and what I love about Ollie's as well is he's so multifaceted. So he's done a lot of different things rather than that single kind of track career. So he obviously talks the first thing about what he wants to do now and where he wants to connect with people. So kind of leadership and teamwork, resilience and change. What makes him different, and his kind of sparkle about obviously being a rugby player and then now a director at PwC. And then he talks, his career headlines are here, and then his ambassadorial, or his charity kind of work of stuff, and then his business. And then he's given video clips of kind of him at his best. But he also, here is, if you are more active by liking and commenting on people and posting, then LinkedIn is going to show you up a lot more. So it's a really good example of how he's broken things down. And again, just look at other people that are in your industry and how they are using this summary to highlight their sparkle and showcase their sparkle, and keep coming back to your own personal brand print to make sure you're highlighting the things that you want to, the things that are going to take you that next step, rather than kind of in 5 years, just focus on the next one. Not my desktop. I want to do.
Do you think it's?
Did you have a question, Esther?
Yeah. Do you think it's okay to mention that you're living in the? Can you hear me? Hello.
You're not living in the UK. It's cutting in and out. I don't know if that's mine or not.
Do you think it's okay to kind of mention that I'm living in South Africa, even if I want to work with companies in the UK, or do you think it's best to kind of be global?
I would say you're living between the UK and South Africa. I would say you're kind of.
Did you get that? Sorry. Hello?
Yeah, I think I got it. Maybe put it in the chat so I can read it, and that might help. But I would, if it was saying where you're based.
Is it okay to kind of say that I'm living in South Africa, but even if I want to work with companies kind of in the UK or anywhere else?
Sorry, there's a lag. So I would just say, I would say I'm living between the UK and South Africa, and I'm supporting British companies. Maybe just start off with that, so it's really obvious.
Okay.
And then change it. Like I say, it's static. Yeah. You can keep updating it. And then the last thing, so you need to also, I didn't add it in your, obviously then you list your different jobs, and within the jobs, the key thing there is to not put everything and to keep an audit of it. So what you're currently focusing on, so for me, I'm currently focusing on digital marketing, so I don't need to include absolutely everything that I've always done. Just like keep editing it, and I've got a bank of it offline, and I just chop and change it. And then also I think it's good just to do a bit of a summary on what that company is or what it stands for, so if it's not as well known, so they don't have to go off to look it up. So kind of basically what the industry was or what the company was. And then just list again the evidence, so make it data driven rather than just I did this and that. So if you managed a team, like what was their performance after you managed them, or kind of the before and after. So again, using the so what. And then the skills.
Oh, but you find the part of the being a mother.
Yeah, so I would put in, we'll come on to career break. Career break. Because I would put it in, although I would. So we've done, so you've got a good profile picture, you've got a good background picture, you've nailed your headline and your summary, and then just putting in your experience, particularly if you're looking to rebrand yourself, try and showcase that you've done similar things and you've gained those skills in your previous roles. And also, obviously, all the stuff you've done in voluntary and additional training. Yeah, sorry, I'm just checking my notes that I have covered everything rather than just talking off the top of my head. Oh yeah, so at Saracens, I literally was there for 10 years. I did 101 different jobs, but at the moment I'm focusing on digital marketing. And so I've just kind of focused on the marketing side of stuff around Match Entertainment. And if I was applying for kind of an NGO rather than digital marketing, an NGO role or a project management role, then I would switch that up and focus on those outcomes. So I've got basically a bank of different examples, and I just pull it in. So your skills, you just have to put in, the theory here is put in absolutely everything, your personal stuff, your professional stuff. If you're struggling, ask people. You know, whilst if you have lived in Cape Town and done a wine course, then put in the fact that you have learned this about, and you're a sommelier and whatever, because again, it just adds to your personal branding and it makes you stand out and as a different. So go broad and include absolutely everything. So in terms of your career break, I would definitely add it, and I would put, there's Matthew Simmons has put in, he's actually put it as one of his experiences, as one of his jobs. He's husband and father at Simmons Corp is what he's put, which was quite fun. And he's put from 2010 to present. So it's always like quite high up in terms of his experience. And so it's always, that clearly shows his values and it's a significant part of who he is. And now I've seen a couple of others which have said like director of family services or a family sabbatical, or you literally can just put career break. It doesn't have to be funny, it doesn't have to be anything. And then if you want to, you can then list the various roles that you have done and projects that you've worked upon, because just because you didn't get paid for it doesn't mean you haven't learned skills, shown that you're proactive and been out there. So I wouldn't say voluntary blah, blah, blah. I would again try to be really specific about the impact that you have had and the results of that and the achievements. So yeah. So your next steps, what you need to do. What I've done is I've broken this into 3 different sections depending on where you currently are and what you want to use LinkedIn for. So the first one is if you are just interested in staying relevant and staying inspired over the next 2 years, and you literally just want to kind of keep a look and figure out what you're doing in your career. So with that, the key thing I would say is to build your network, because the more people you know on LinkedIn, you can only reach out to connect with people that are first or second connections. So you can't connect with people outside of your network. So the bigger your network is, the easier it is to connect with different people. So sync your contact list and start connecting with people that you know, because then it will build out from there. But also kind of, you can hide people from your feed. You can hide people that are not interesting to you. So keep on top of that to make your feed as useful and relevant as possible. Do endorsements, ask for other people to endorse you, and read, there's so many different LinkedIn articles. Use the search feature, and just start to try and make your home feed as useful to you as possible. And in the same way, like spend 10 minutes a day just scrolling through, keeping yourself up to date, and unfollow people that aren't really adding value. So you can follow people in the same, you don't have to connect with everyone on LinkedIn, you can just follow them. And yeah, as I say, hide the content that isn't. If you are looking at LinkedIn because you actively are looking for a job or you want to gain clients, then you've got to put yourself out there. And you've got to basically show up and start being proud of your sparkle, because you aren't going to get noticed otherwise. So there's no more lurking in the background. It's time to face your fears and take your brand to the next level by sharing your thoughts and opinions on particular topics that are relevant. So again, look at your spider web career and look at where you're branching out into, and then use Pocket. Do you remember I said about Pocket, which is a brilliant app for searching and finding articles to read later? And then you can just use those articles and just write a little bit about it if you want to, and add your own thoughts and why you think it's interesting. And then ideally start to create your own content. And the moment you do this, the more LinkedIn will just start promoting you. And so again, you can use scheduling tools to help make that more manageable by just doing it once a week and it comes out kind of every day. I really need to do more of this rubbish. And so I basically take my blog articles and start putting them onto LinkedIn in the native kind of LinkedIn as an article. And then the final one is if you're going gung-ho and you are very clear on your products and what you're trying to sell or what type of job you're looking for. And here it's all about your own creating you as the expert with it and a niche within the industry, and being really clear on your career outcome and goals. So going through all of your contacts and getting rid of anyone that isn't aligned to that goal, because then it makes it easier for LinkedIn to understand what you're about and who you more likely to strategically be aligned with. And then stalk people and start commenting. If you can't connect with them, start commenting on their feed. Like put it in every week, you go and to top 3 people and you comment and you show up and you give value. And then when you ask them to connect, they're much more likely to say yes. And then there's groups also in LinkedIn that you can join, and you can show up and start interesting conversations in there too about different topics. And so you become known for something. So it is a bit scary to put yourself out there, but once you've done your brand print, once you know your career goals, it's so much easier to show up and to put yourself out there and to start kind of really shining bright. Or if you're in the learning stage, then LinkedIn is flipping brilliant. And there's lots of amazing CEOs on there that you can follow too, like Richard Branson's on there. Paul Frumpton's also very good. The Thrive Network and Ariana Huffington is brilliant. Oprah, like everyone's on LinkedIn as well. So it's I love the home feed. I get a lot of my content from there. And it takes a while. Like, again, like all of these things, this is a slow burner. There's no quick results. But if it's done really, if you do just plod along with very clear consistency of this is what I want to get out of it. These are the type of people. This is my core target audience that I'm looking to connect with. And so every day searching for them, trying to engage with the influencers, then LinkedIn is a very powerful platform. So is that helpful? Do you have any questions?
Yeah, very helpful. Yeah.
There's lots and lots to take in. But I have done a like crib sheet, so I will send that to you as well, just so you can kind of see, and then pull out your personal branding. And then like just start to play around and tinker with it. You can take off notifications. So I did that. So I took off notifications because otherwise it tells everyone in your network every time you've updated something or changed something.
Okay. So you can take off that.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, in the settings. So take off your notifications, and then you can just play and tinker with stuff. And then kind of next month, when we get a bit deeper on kind of our career highs and lows and looking at those values and the branding again, then you can keep coming back and bringing it across to LinkedIn, because I think you're both at a similar-ish stage. Probably not ready to go full on yet, but just starting to tinker and just see the possibilities. But the other great thing that Brett said to us at his session was taking from LinkedIn people and then finding them on Instagram. So doing the kind of looking for those key people within companies and then building a relationship with them also on Instagram as well as LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yes, I've learned huge amounts about the future of work. So it's been really good for me to move out of the sports industry and more into the HR and kind of learning and training and development. It's all been LinkedIn.
Yeah, because I have a lot of the weddings. So still now I have sometimes like people want to connect from the weddings in Italy. And it's like a supplier of music of Italy. And it's like,
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay, there's something wrong if I am having this thing. So no, we need to change the stuff. But at the same